Next is Jalen Brown, Morehouse College, Morehouse in the house.
Yes, ma'am, we're right here.
All right, I see you. I see you. You're in your dorm room?
Yes, I am actually.
Love it.
So my question is pretty simple. What is the administration's plan for like directly targeting HBCU student loan debt as opposed to the overall student debt problem? And what is the administration's plan to sustain the programs it's started to connect HBCU students with everyone else?
All right. Okay. Love this question because I think the administration has done, the Biden-Harris administration has done a lot to wipe away about $10 billion in student loan debt. That is what we've been able to do in this past several months. Some of the beneficiaries include permanently disabled people, students who have been defrauded by failed for-profit institutions, soldiers deployed to a war zone. The administration and the Department of Education are constantly looking for ways of easing the load of student debt as it relates directly to HBCU student loan debt. To your question, HBCUs have received close to $4 billion in funding from the Biden-Harris administration. Part of that funding has been used by institutions to cancel debt that students had on their accounts. In addition to the grants made directly to students, this guidance illustrates opportunities for institutions to use their own grants to reimburse themselves for lost revenue while supporting students during the pandemic. Also, there has been $1.6 billion in capital improvement loan forgiveness for HBCUs, which has helped to take care of the expense of new facilities on HBCU campuses and help the overall financial health of the institution. So this is, again, something that in the Biden-Harris administration is very important when it comes to student loan and making sure that we're helping students get through their college education. Okay, next. We have Jordan Brown, Morgan State University. Jordan, you're up.
Hi, thank you so much. It's great to be here. My question for you is more so about the Biden administration and with the recent reopening of schools and universities, many for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic began. A lot of states across the country have different safety protocols against COVID, and with students in schools K through 8 haven't had the opportunity to get vaccinated yet. What procedures is the Biden administration taking to ensure everybody's safety at this time?
Jordan, thank you for that question because this one is personal to me. As I mentioned, I have a 7-year-old and she is not able to get vaccinated. As you all know, 11 and under, the vaccination is not yet available to them. It has not been approved by FDA. And as you know, we follow science here and lead with science. And so that is something that many parents I know across the country, some parents that I know personally, even here at the White House, are really concerned about that, about their kids going to school and the numbers that we're seeing with kids contacting or being infected with COVID. So we must do everything we can to protect kids. This is something that the president talked about yesterday when he laid out his next phase of combating COVID-19. We want to make sure that we get as many people vaccinated. We want to make sure that we keep people out of hospitals and make sure that we're protecting folks as much as possible and make sure we keep those schools open and make sure we keep our economy open. And so this is critical. Like my daughter and so many other kids were, and probably some of you hadn't been in school in person for 1.5 years. And it is so important to have these schools open for your mental health. We were just talking about mental health, for your social kind of just interaction, and to really get an education that you can have access to your teacher and access to the things that are incredibly important. So the vaccine requirements in the president's plan will affect about 100 million Americans, and 2/3 of those Americans are all workers. The president is requiring vaccination where he can. The Head Start programs, Department of Defense schools, Bureau of Indian Education, and the president called on governors to require vaccination for all teachers and staff. So we know that schools can be safe if they follow the public health guidelines around mitigation strategies, masking, ventilation, all those things. The schools were given funding for through the American Rescue Plan because the president wanted to make sure when we open schools that they were opened safely. So all of these things that I just mentioned, ventilation, mitigation, PPE, that has there's been funding awarded to states to make sure that can be done in a way that is safe. But I hear you all. It is incredibly important to keep our young people safe and to make sure that we do everything that we can, which is why the president spoke about this very forcefully yesterday about how to combat COVID-19 and his approach.